Hello, everyone. SFN Conspiracy TV coming at you again. This is part two of government NASA MIT documents admit flat Earth. Believe your Bible, people. Part two. Dean Odle, Fire and Grace Church.
I didn't write that. It seems that someone at NASA is a flat earther. Oh my God. Right? How can this be? Now they have to design stuff for it to work the way things are. That's why. Let's keep going here. There's your definition of derivation. Obtaining or developing something from a source of origin. Why would you develop the equations for aircraft to fly? Over something that doesn't exist. Oh, let's factor in the unicorn equation, just in case, the Pegasus, the flying horse equation. So, yeah. No, they're telling you it exists. Definition, of course, is a statement of the exact meaning of something. Think about that. So I thought that was big when I found that a couple of years ago. Well, guess what? There's a whole heap of other things. So we went back a moment ago. Let's throw this up right here. We went back a moment ago. The scientist, inventor, Dr. Carr, 1931, pre-NASA. This document right here, as most of you will note, where did it come from up top there? Central Intelligence Agency. Declassified document that we stole from the Russians from 1948. Yes, you will you notice that. Sanitized, yes. Why would you sanitize scientific information about, look at this, this is what this one's about, scientific Earth measurements. Why would you redact anything concerning the true scientific facts of the Earth? I wanted you to see that scientific measurements of the Earth, June 1948. It was originally in the Russian language. This is the translated thing. Date distributed, July 1949, number of pages 19. Just so you can see, here's getting into it here. Now, notice it says the paper says outer gravitational field and shape of the physical surface of the Earth. Gives this guy's name, some Russian guy. Center Science Research, Institute for Geodetics, Aerial Surveying and Cartography, Moscow. Everybody see that? All right. You can go through this entire document if you want to. I'm just pulling out something that I found very interesting in 1948 from Russian scientists that was classified. They stated here that where it is not determinable at all other points of space without the knowledge of the shape of the Earth, but since the shape of the Earth is not known.
Damn, motherfucker.
I'm not going to read all this, because if I read all this today, we'd be here for a long time. In fact, I cut out stuff. I just wanted you to see that a Russian scientific paper that was classified in 1948 states the shape of the Earth is not known. Now, let me remind you that we are always told, oh, we've known the shape of the Earth since 300 BC. How did Russian scientists, and let me just say that Russian scientists are not stupid people. In fact, reading through their documents, they seem to be more honest with themselves than a lot of American scientists. Because the Russians were just trying to figure out they were trying to figure out all truth so they could gain any kind of advantage over us militarily. All right? Just wanted you to see that, 1948. Here's another document. We move forward in time a little bit, 1956, 57 time period. Now what happened, let me say, what happened between about 1948 and this time? The development of jet aircraft and the increase in rocket technology. So we were beginning to be able to fly a little higher, a little faster. So you would think, okay, they know, right? So the Russians started this study, I found out, in the 1940s. They began to study the light within, they said, the firmament. All right? This isn't their words. The light, but they were doing a light study because they were trying to figure out how they could manipulate or use this knowledge against us with optics and all kinds of stuff. So you see this is released by approved for release 2000. Relation between light scattering coefficient for various angles of optical thickness of the atmosphere. What? Optical thickness. That sounds like I'm going to the optometrist to give me some glasses. I'll just move on from that. All right. Here's more of it here. Calculation of light dispersion, higher orders. This is USR, geophysics, light dispersion. This is the study they were doing. Proof presented light dispersion, higher orders can be computed from data obtained in plain direct observation for USSR references. And this is the institution, the Academy of Sciences, USSR Astrophysical Institute. I mean, again, we're not fooling around here with dummies. All right? In this paper, they go on to tell you the study of the dispersion of light in the Earth's atmosphere, degree, doctoral, physics, math, science, and so they just tell you the whole thing here. Joint Council, March 1957, Academy of Science, USSR. Again, a lot of this I just pulled out just so you would see that these documents are real and what they were about. But let's get to the interesting stuff. Here's all these PhDs and scientists that are involved in this study at this time. Tells you a little more of the introduction, the table of contents. In investigation of light scattering in the Earth's atmosphere, formula for the brightness of the blue sky with consideration of first order scattering and all that, blah, blah, blah. All right. And talks about this first semester, 1957, dissertation, blah, blah, blah. Goes through that. Let's get to the interesting meat of this here. Tells you the instruments to use. So right here, it said the observations were carried out in 12 locations at various altitudes above the sea, various climate, meteorological, synoptic conditions. The observations were carried out mainly during high transparency of the atmosphere and the visual range of the spectrum, in the absence of snow cover. In the investigations, 2 instruments designed by V.G. Fescunov or whatever were used. One of these was a visual photometer of the daytime sky intended for measuring the brightness of the firmament. Now, what's very interesting about that is Daniel chapter 12, verse 4 talks about the righteous shining as the brightness of the firmament. The Bible also talks, 12:3, I'm sorry. The Bible also talks about what? That there are 4 lights. Talks about the sun, the moon, the stars, and the light that's in the world. We'll deal with that another time. But they were wanting to study this, and they said also the other photoelectric halo photometer for determining the brightness from near sun halo. Whoa. Pause. Time out. Time out. How is something that's supposed to be 93 million miles away, could anything about it be called near? The near sun. Okay? But it gets better. He says that to study the near sun halo and also the sun on the surface perpendicular to these rays. The dissertation contains a certain formula of the brightness of the sky, taking into consideration only the brightness of the first order, derived on the assumption of a flat earth and giving some conclusions. Because remember, they're trying to study how light is operating within the atmosphere with a near sun halo, and they tell you over flat earth. This is a Russian document, 1957. It was classified. They ain't the Russians. The Russians are smart. The Russians are smart. We stole some stuff from them. We stole some heat stuff from them so we could put it on the space shuttle. We'll get to that next message, though. All right, so Russian documents, CIA documents, declassified. Let's look at them. We're going to go down through some now here. I'm going to try to go pretty fast. This is the Army Research Laboratory. Notice every time when you see .mil, whenever you see .mil, the only people that can have .mil, military. This is the Army's Research Laboratory. Beacon position and altitude navigation aided by magnetometer. I'm not going to try to pronounce those people's names. You can see the documents prepared by the University of Delaware, Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, under contract to the U.S. government. I guess these people are dummies, right? They're stupid, right? This tells you who they are. I'm not going to get into all that, but this tells you the PhDs and the people who were assisting this study. And here we find something. Problem formulation, coordinate systems. The motion of an object usually described by rigid body equations of motion derived from Newton's laws. This section summarizes and notates three kinds of coordinate systems. The first is the Earth-fixed coordinate system, which is fixed to the Earth with a flat Earth assumption. Okay, now remember, we're talking about beacons for aircraft, and aircraft flying, moving, and we're talking about stuff that's moving. Why would you assume, first of all, why would you use the term Earth fixed? I'll deal with that in a second. And a flat Earth assumption. An assumption means something that is just known to be true. It's just assumed because it is known. I'll prove that to you in a minute. But anyway, it gets more interesting because they have a little diagram here of what they're talking about. And this little diagram of the Earth seems to look like something. And they tell you that this y-axis and the x-axis are horizontal. Oh, like that. Horizontal. And that this little disc right here is flat. And it even has a nice little dome over it. And fixed points on the dome that they use for navigation. This is not me. I want to repeat, Army Research Laboratory, .army.mil, not Pastor Dean. Yes, sir.
Seen Isaiah 44:13 before?
Say it loud.
I'll read it to you. The carpenter stretcheth out his rule, he marketh it out with a line, he fitteth it with the planes, or with planes, and he marketh it out with the compass, and maketh it after the figure of a man, your face.
Oh,
Think of the top north, your nose, center.
right.
It's the for most people, center dome.
Yep,
Your
absolutely.
nose is the center point, the likeness of a man's face.
And look, does this not look like something maybe we've seen? Oh, what is that? Let me back up. Do you see that? But we're the crazy. Why is the biblical Hebrew cosmology shape of the earth in a U.S. Army manual? Why? Oh, Pastor Dean, that's just a coincidence. Oh, really? Well, let's keep going. Look at that. They know the truth. Here we go. This is a different one. Everybody see where this came from? NASA.gov. You could interchange CIA.gov, NASA.gov, it's all the same. Okay? They work together. In fact, I believe that all high-level NASA people are spooks, is what I believe. All right? Here we have the singular arc time optimal climb trajectory of aircraft in a two-dimensional wind field. Oh, Lord. These guys. All right? NASA research. Smart people are rocket scientists. Everybody said, I'm not a rocket scientist. Well, these are. All right? So this document goes on to say, in our minimum time to climb problem, the aircraft is modeled as a point mass, and the flight trajectory is strictly confined in a vertical plane on a non-rotating flat Earth. Do you see that? Does everybody see that? And then they've got this nice little equation here. Thus, the pertinent equations of motion for the problem are defined in its the state variable form as, and then they give you the math. Wait a minute, is this unicorn math? Is this Thor hammer math? Wait a minute, no, it's flat. Whoa, what flat? Non-rotating flat Earth math. Oh, I'm sorry. Could we just substitute Pegasus, unicorns? No, exactly. Let's keep going. Here, let's back up a little time. Everybody see this? NASA technical memorandum. Where'd it come from? NASA.gov, right? Declassified. Freedom of Information Act tells you all about it. Determination of angles of attack and side slip from radar data and the roll stabilized platform. Langley researched that. What's in Langley? Virginia? Yeah, CIA headquarters. Exactly. Also, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Washington, D.C. Wait a minute, I thought they were in Florida and Houston, Texas. Oh, that's right. Sure, they have an office. All right, let's keep going here. Here's the abstract. NASA Langley Research Center, technical memorandum, blah, blah, blah. Here is in the abstract. Basically what they're describing this manual is all about. It's a summary of it. Here's what they say. Equations for angles of attack and side slip relative to both rolling and non-rolling body axis system are derived for a flight vehicle for which radar and gyroscope attitude data are available. The method is limited, however, to application where a flat, non-rotating Earth may be assumed. The application for this whole thing has to be based on a flat, non-rotating Earth. Wait a minute, how many documents are we into here? I'm going to read that again. Equations for angles of attack, side slip relative to both rolling and non-rolling body axis system are derived for a flight vehicle. So we're talking about stuff that flies. And for which radar and gyroscope attitude data are available. The method is limited, however, to application where a flat, non-rotating Earth may be seen. To say that the method is limited to a flat, non-rotating Earth means it does not work for a spherical Earth. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. Anderson. Let's keep going. Here we have something else. Is that the same one? I got the same. Oh, it's the same manual. I think. Yeah, here we go. Let's keep going here. Yes. This is interesting because he talks about, it gives you this little frame reference. Look at north, south, east, west, right? And they're telling you that, again, that represents the Earth fixed axis system. Everybody see that, right there? The radar provides range, azimuth, and elevation data from radar site to the vehicle throughout flight. So we're talking about stuff happening throughout flight, right? The data in conjunction with wind data can be easily converted to pitch, blah, 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 flight path angles. It is assumed herein that the Earth is represented as a flat and non-rotating reference frame. Why would it be assumed that the Earth is represented as a flat, non-rotating reference frame? Exactly. I'm going to tell you, I'm blown away, but this Earth fixed system is interesting here. Why do I say Earth fixed? Isn't it supposed to be spinning, tilted, orbiting, flying through the universe? Yet the stars never change in the sky, right? The night sky. But yet we're spinning, flying, orbiting. Millions of miles. Been doing it for thousands of years. Nothing in the night sky ever changes. They know. Come on, they know. It is assumed herein that the Earth is represented as a flat, non-rotating reference frame. Yet they're going to tell us snipers have to adjust for shooting a 1,000-yard shot. It takes about 2 seconds, maybe less than that. But you don't have to calculate the Earth's spin for an aircraft, for a helicopter, a drone. The space shuttle. I'll show you that in a minute too. Let's keep going. Here it is. Notice it says, also by definition, the X and Z plane will be vertical, perpendicular to the horizontal plane of the earth at all times. The horizontal plane of the earth at all times. The breadth of the earth, exactly. That plateaus thing, that spread out, wide, flat thing. Oh, I can have fun. I can keep going. Now, why do they say earth fixed system? Well, it's interesting. Here's a few verses, right? The earth is not spinning. According to the Bible, Chronicles 16:30, he has fixed the earth firm and immovable. Psalm 93:1, thou hast fixed the earth immovable and firm. Psalm 96:10, he has fixed the earth firm and immovable. Psalm 105, thou didst fix the earth on its foundation so that it never can be shaken. Who made the earth and fashioned it himself, fixed it fast. And of course, one of my favorites that I didn't put on here, Zechariah 1:11, that says the earth is still and it rests. Earth fixed system. They're telling you, non-rotating, earth fixed. The word fixed means it's not moving, it's not going anywhere. Of course, this was proven by these two scientists in physics, Michelson and Morley. They proved this a long time ago. These two scientists conducted numerous experiments to measure the orbital velocity of the earth through the ether with light beams. I'm going to talk about the ether. The ether is real. And these documents I found prove they believe it's real. And we're going to get into that next week. But and many present theoretical physicists believe the ether is real now. It was taboo subject for a long time, but not anymore. And this through the godless and anti-Bible scientists. Of course, like I said, their experiments showed that the earth was not moving at all. Now, they expected, these guys believed the model, the lie, the Copernican model, they believed they were going to measure how fast the earth was moving. Their experiment showed it wasn't moving. And they were like, whoa, what's going on? And they repeated these experiments over and over and over again and came up with the same results, true science, the earth's not moving. So Einstein comes up with a theory to debunk this, to get rid of the ether so he can debunk their experiment. And of course, we know what Tesla said about the theory of relativity, that it was foolishness, basically. But anyway, this was proven a long time ago. Now, here's a doctoral dissertation by a PhD candidate that became part of this European Control Conference. In fact, I guess he graduated, but this doctoral dissertation that he began to speak to, I guess, the European Space Agency or whatever, a new path planner based on flatness approach, application to an atmosphere reentry mission. This was designed for the space shuttle, quote, reentry. And it's funny, they put orbit and reentry and stuff like that into quotations. And I'll explain all that next week. We'll get into that next week. But notice the outline of his doctoral dissertation. Statement of guidance problem. Why would you have a guidance problem? Well, if you're basing stuff on a spherical Earth and it's really flat, then you're going to have a guidance problem. Right? So this guy comes along and goes, you know what? We got to get back to a flatness approach. I'm not making this up. Right? Flatness-based trajectory plan. Here we go. He's talking about for this little vehicle right here. And we'll keep going. Notice he says model in flat Earth coordinates. Everybody see that? Again, this doesn't exist, right? Flat Earth doesn't exist, but we're going to have a model for it and all this unicorn math. Sprinkled with fairy dust. So this guy's doing a doctoral dissertation in this present time to help with guidance system of the shuttle, and now we have unmanned shuttle system. But he's doing this and saying we've had guidance problems, so we got to go to a flatness approach, to a flat Earth model. Now I'm going to tell you, this guy's way smarter than me. I couldn't do this kind of math, not even in my dreams. Okay? But he does. And he says, guys, we need a flat Earth model. And here's the math for it. Shall we keep going? Notice this. Assumptions, meaning things we assume are true. Flat Earth. Coriolis and centrifugal forces neglected. Here's a doctoral candidate who graduated, got his PhD, becomes a speaker to the European Control Council, and he's telling them it's a flat Earth. We ignore Coriolis, meaning the spin of the Earth. It's completely ignored. Why? Because it doesn't exist. And it's what the Bible said all along. The earth is fixed, stable, immovable, still, and at rest. Everything secret is being uncovered. Here's MIT. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the top technical school in the country. Or at least one of the top. I'm sure they argue among themselves who's the top. What's this? dspace.mit.edu. Right? Property-based system design method with application to targeting system for small unmanned vehicles. So this is a targeting system developed Massachusetts Institute of Technology, blah, blah, blah. Tells you who it is, the author of this. And then in the description, it says 3 targeting methods were considered assuming a flat Earth. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why would an MIT professor, PhD, why would he assume the Earth is flat? Assuming a flat Earth. No, he says 3 targeting methods. Consider assuming a flat Earth using DTED data and using angle range data. The evaluation. I hit it myself. The evaluation revealed a descending utility order, flat Earth, and range based upon the system's requirements. I mean, these and aeronautics and astronautics. Flat Earth assumption, mind blowing. All right, let's get back to our documents, government documents. Just wanted you to see MIT and other doctoral candidates and PhDs saying it's flat and it's not moving. That's what the Bible says. It's flat, it's not moving. If I say it, I'm crazy. But these guys can say it, and their papers get passed around among the elite, and a lot of them classified. Yes, and many of them do have Nobel Prize, and they get sometimes they get classified. Right? And then declassified. So here, y'all gonna love this. This is what's the website? Everybody, look at the top there. All right, NASA.gov. April 1961, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Calculation of wind compensation for launching unguided rockets. Pretty serious stuff. Rocket science. Rocket science. Calculating wind. Right? Pretty important thing to know when you're shooting rockets. Faith and I discovered that not too long ago. We shot up one of our rockets, and the wind took it far, far away. We never found it. All right? So this is important little tidbit thing to study, if you're going to send them up high, right? So I did the little wind effect. Did you like that? No, let me back it up first. See, look at see? The wind effect. There we go. Have a little fun. There it is again, just so you see it up close. Calculation of wind compensation for launching unguided rockets. So we're talking about rockets by Robert L. James Jr. and Ronald J. Harris, Langley Research Center, Langley, Virginia, Langley Field. I would say pretty important stuff, right? All right. But who reads this stuff? Who stays up all night and all day reading stuff? I do. All right, technical note. Here we go. Summary, method for calculating wind compensation for unguided missiles. It is derived from which has a greater degree of flexibility than previously proposed methods, blah, 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 and they get into it. So they're telling you, summary, here's what we're up to, trying to figure out how to guide rockets. Yes. Linear aerodynamics, yes. Coefficients with respect to flow, incidence angles are used, launch angles for wind compensation. I mean, it's pretty serious stuff, right? I think you'd probably need to get it right. I know if I was their general or their boss, I'd say you guys better get it right. This stuff's expensive, so let's get it right. Right? It better work. Let's look at this. It says trajectory simulation incorporating the above requirements is presented in reference 8. In addition to the above requirements, this simulation assumes a vehicle with 6 degrees of freedom and aerodynamic symmetry and roll, and the missile position, again, space will deal with that. They don't even, it's not what they're talking about. What we think, what they've told us, and what they know space is, two different things. So when they say it, they don't mean what they've lied about. The missile position in space is computed relative to a flat, non-rotating Earth. April 1961, NASA technical document for calculating unguided missiles, not anything we're sending into space. Just unguided missiles, like the V-2 was an unguided missile. Let's keep going here. Here's another one. Okay, completely different document. Where did it come from? NASA.gov, right? Unpublished preliminary data, atmospheric oscillations, tells you the people. Georgia Tech project. Georgia Tech, here we go, right? My wife's brother is a professor at Georgia Tech. He would be losing his mind if he heard this, but his own university has been part of this. Under contract, Georgia Tech project, contract, prepared National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So this was in conjunction with their engineers, Engineering Experiment Station, Georgia Institute of Technology, Atlanta, Georgia. The requirements for additional copies. Talks about that, says the Department of Defense contractors must be established for DDC services or have their E&O certified by the cognizant military agency. So this was not to be passed around. This was need to know. All right? Georgia Tech project, just so you see it. Boom, boom, April 1965. Tells you the abstract, develop present theories of atmospheric oscillations. Blah, blah, blah. I don't have to. All right. A model frequently used is that of, everybody say it, flat, unrotating Earth. The most one can profitably simplify the problem is to consider the isothermal atmosphere, plane level surfaces, and a non-rotating Earth. They say flat Earth more than we do. Now remember, I have shown you documents here, and again, I'll put all this, you know, there's so much more. I mean, I'm having to trim this down. We're already at 12:15, all right? So I'm trying to get through this, and there's just so much here. But I just wanted you to see. We're talking about 1948, 1957, 1960s, 1970. The first NASA document I showed you about the linear, you know, the derivation, and that was 1988. We're talking about this stuff has never changed. Listen, yeah, let me tell you, you're going to have fun just reading through these things because you see so much. I mean, about gravity and wait, they're talking about that because they even admit gravity's bumped. All right, now, all right, here's one. This one is NASA.gov. Now, this is general equations of motion for a damaged asymmetric aircraft. So what they're trying to do is fix equations if a plane loses part of its wing or tail fin or whatever, how to compensate and all that stuff, right? So that's what this is about. And the technical manual gives you this stuff. The introduction, here's the introduction, right? Just so you know, it says, in order to analyze the dynamics of damaged aircraft, the dynamic equations of motion must properly reflect the underlying physics. Now, I want to say that I want everybody to pay close attention. They're telling you right here in the introduction of this, and they're showing you a damaged aircraft. They're saying, in order to analyze the dynamics of damaged aircraft and dynamic equations of motion must properly reflect the underlying physics. It must, what we're going to do here must reflect the true physics. Physics. People say, you don't understand physics. Okay, well, these people do. All right? Who are we talking about here? The American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. And here's what they say. Rigid body equations of motion, reference to an arbitrary fixed point on the body. There are several approaches that can be used to develop the general equations of motion. The one selected here starts with Newton's laws applied to the collection of particles defining the rigid body. Any number of dynamics or physics books can serve as references. So they're saying the physics books can serve as references. I said, in this paper, the rigid body equations of motion over a flat, non-rotating Earth are developed. Why? Why? So you're telling me that the physics of a non-rotating flat Earth are the proper physics in a NASA document. This is not Pastor Dean saying this. These are NASA documents. These are government documents. Does everybody see that? No. No. Over many years, different schools, the University of Delaware, Georgia Tech, MIT. No. Russian scientists. Here we go. You can tell when they're older documents. Atmospheric refraction errors for optical instrumentation. Fun reading, folks. I'm telling you, fun reading. There you have it. Tells you technical memorandum, blah, 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 same thing, preliminary report, October, what do we got? See, we're backing up, 1953. White Sands Proving Ground, La Cruces, New Mexico. Where's Area 51? It's in New Mexico, I know, but I don't know where. So, anyway, here we go. Look at this here. Just wanted you to see the signatures, real signatures, Dr. Fred Hansen, Dr. J.W. Molnar, or whatever, James C. McNatt, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, Thomas W. Morgan, Major, United States Air Force, Systems Engineering Branch, Flight Determination Laboratory, White Sands Proving Ground. All here, right? Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, General so-and-so. I guess they're stupid. This document was not to be seen. This document contains information affecting the national defense of the United States within the meaning of the espionage laws, Title 18 U.S.C., Sections 793 and 794. Its transmission or the revelation of its contents in any manner to an unauthorized person is prohibited by law. So this was classified in the 1950s. He's talking about basic equations for atmospheric refraction and all this stuff. He says, here, now I want to point this out. Present equations hold for any altitude. Everybody see that? I don't have time to read all of it. Present equations hold for any altitude. All right, let's see what they're talking about. Table of contents, introduction, validity of flat Earth assumption for atmospheric calculations. Validity. You know what validity means? Something that is a solid fact. Let me back up. Remember, present equations hold for any altitude. So some of this study of basic atmospheric equations, this is for any altitude. This is the introduction. This is the table of contents. Introduction, the validity of flat Earth assumption for atmospheric calculations. If it wasn't flat, if the Earth was not flat, why would you start off a classified, under threat of law in the Espionage Act, why would you classify that? It's all here, folks. Introduction here says a comprehensive study of atmospheric refraction errors for optical instrumentation. What is it based on? Based on a flat Earth assumption, will be published subsequently. The relative mass of the atmosphere at any elevation angle is given approximately by the cosine of the elevation angle. I may be pronouncing some of this wrong, but listen, this relationship is correct for a flat earth and a flat atmosphere. This relationship is correct for a flat earth and a flat atmosphere. And they're going to publish these results. So we just saw one document say, this is the correct underlying physics, flat non-rotating earth. We see this document right here say, this is correct for any altitude. I tell you, I've been studying this and I'm blown away, just going back through it. Validity of flat earth assumption. Validity. They're not saying, okay, see what some of them, this is what some of them say, that the flat earth assumption is just to simplify things. But what this is saying is this so-called flat earth assumption is valid. It's valid. Do you see it? Zoom in on it a little bit, just so you see it. Validity of flat earth assumption. Just so you know, the definition of validity. The quality of being logically or factually sound. Right? Look at that. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a good point there, Nathan. He said the second part of the definition, the state of being legally or officially binding or acceptable, that this would stand up in court.
That's why I'm asked the website. They only use the word image because legally they're bound. Otherwise, they'd be sued.
Let's keep going here. Assumption. And anyway, let's just say that they didn't put in the validity. They just used the word flat earth assumption. You hear that a lot. Well, the assumption, a thing that is accepted is true or is certain to happen without proof. I mean, we don't even need proof of this anymore. This is what is assumed to be true by the scientific community, by the governments of the world. Everybody see this? Let me ask you something. Are you blown away? I mean, it's been a while since I've even read a scripture. You know why? Because these guys have their own flat earth Bible, don't they? It's called their technical manual. It's mind-blowing. I know. Now, let me show you. I'm going to make my illustration this morning. I know I've said it a couple times. But I want to use the illustration of a log split. Something us Alabama boys appreciate. I don't have one. If anybody wants to buy me one, you're welcome to. I do it the old-fashioned way with a maul and wedges and sledgehammers. Log splitter would be nice. But log splitters, they're engines and they're generating certain pounds of pressure, and there's a lot of science involved in this, true science, right? And so here we have how to calculate the splitting force of a log split. I mean, we got this guy. This guy broke down the calculation, right? So we can figure out the pounds per square inch. I mean, the larger the logs, the more splitting force you will need. I know all about this, right? Measure the diameter. I mean, he goes through. He tells you how to calculate pounds per square inch, the piston, and all this stuff, right, for a log split. So if you got all this calculation to figure out the PSI of a log splitter, at some point in your calculations, would you say, you know what? I've got to throw in the Thor hammer assumption. I'm going to throw this in so it'll be right. So we just assume that we've got the log splitter, maybe we got a tough log, but we're going to make sure we have the Thor hammer. No, you would never say that. You would never say that. Why? Because Thor is a mythical individual. His hammer, mythical. It's not true. It's not a fact. No part of it's a fact. So why would you include that in the log splitter equation when you're trying to explain to somebody how a log splitter works and how the pistons work and how you create the pressure to split the logs? Why would you say, oh, but we got to throw in the Thor hammer assumption and equations for the Thor hammer in assistance with the log splitter? But that's what NASA does. And that's what the excuse you will hear You share this message, you share these documents, and you'll start to hear, well, now, they don't mean, they don't mean what they're saying.
Okay, that's the end of part 2. Part 3's coming. After this downloads, it's probably going to take an hour or two. But as soon as it downloads, I'll play part 3. Open up your Bible, people. Believe your God. When you grasp the fact that you were created by God and that He's real and there is an afterlife, your peace here on earth will be so much better no matter what's going on in your life. You'll have hard times still, but you'll get through them much better. God bless everyone. I love you all. SFN Conspiracy TV out.